Zelensky added that he will not accept a ceasefire deal with Russia if the United States does not include Ukraine in the talks.
That was Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky earlier on NBC's Meet the Press, responding to concerns that his government was being left out of U.S.-led negotiations toward peace between Ukraine and Russia.
The Trump team is heading to Saudi Arabia to meet with Russian and Ukrainian negotiators on ending the war.
But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine.
He has sold Ukraine out completely to Russia.
President Trump is seemingly presenting optimism in terms of striking a deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Y'all, I need you to sit down for this one because the level of drama, deception, and straight-up political chaos we're about to unravel is absolutely insane. Picture this: world leaders secretly plotting, a former U.S. president making deals that could change global politics forever, and Ukraine literally fighting to have a seat at its own peace talks. And guess what? The real story is way messier than they want you to believe. So, what's really going on with Trump, Putin, and Ukraine? And why is Elon Musk's name suddenly popping up in all this? Buckle up, because we're diving in. So, let's start with the basics.
No let-up in Russian attacks on Ukraine, but why should there be? President Putin is getting what he wants without having to stop or make concessions. First of all, a new partnership with the USA.
The war between Ukraine and Russia has been dragging on for years, devastating millions of lives. And while the world watches, the US plays a major role in deciding what happens next. But here's where things get wild, because behind the scenes, there's a whole different game being played. Recently, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made it crystal clear Ukraine will not accept any deal that is made without them. Like, imagine people negotiating your future without even inviting you to the table? Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here.
Do you expect Zelensky to be involved in these conversations? What will his role be?
I do. He will be involved, yes.
And when Trump, the guy who was impeached over withholding aid to Ukraine, comes in saying, yeah, sure, Ukraine will be involved, you already know something's off. Because let's be real, Trump's history with Ukraine is sketchy at best. And when he casually throws in that Zelensky will be included, it just raises more questions than answers. Will he actually be included? Or is this just another classic Trump move where he says one thing and does the complete opposite? And let's not forget how these negotiations tend to happen. Powerful countries have a history of sidelining smaller ones when their own interests are on the line. We've seen it before, and we're seeing it now. Ukraine is literally fighting for its survival, yet there are discussions happening behind its back. The lack of transparency is a major red flag, and people are right to be worried. On top of that, the idea of a deal without Ukraine's direct input is not only morally questionable, but also politically dangerous. If history has taught us anything, it's that forcing a country into an agreement it doesn't support rarely ends well. The fallout from this could be catastrophic, not just for Ukraine, but for global stability. And yet, here we are, watching leaders play power games like it's a high-stakes poker match. Okay, so here's where it gets juicy. Reports have surfaced that Trump and Putin have been in communication. Yes, talking behind the scenes. And let's not forget, Trump has always had a soft spot for Putin, even when it made literally no sense. But what are they really talking about?
Donald Trump is a lying liar who lies. This is the same guy who got impeached the first time over trying to impound money for Ukraine to use against a political opponent. He has sold Ukraine out completely to Russia. I suspect that Ukraine, if they are present at any point, will probably be after Trump and Putin have already struck a deal.
Well, word on the street is that if Trump gets back in office, he's looking to push a deal that could actually hand Russia the upper hand. Yep, you heard that right. Trump's stance has always been shaky when it comes to standing up to Russia. And there's a reason why experts think he might be willing to cut a deal that benefits Putin more than anyone else. And let's talk about those peace talks happening without Ukraine. Who exactly is benefiting from this? Because it sure isn't Ukraine.
Can you accept any peace deal that is cut without Ukraine?
No.
And do you feel like you have a seat at the table right now?
I not only count on it, I'm sure that we have to be there, otherwise it's not acceptable.
Zelensky himself is furious, saying there will be no agreement without Ukraine's full involvement. But Trump, he's out here acting like he can just sign a paper and make it all go away. What's even more alarming is the pattern of Trump's past interactions with Putin.
I have groups that are wondering why the FBI never took the server. Haven't they taken the server? Why was the FBI told to leave the office of the Democratic National Committee? I've been wondering that. I've been asking that for months and months, and I've been tweeting it out and calling it out on social media.
Remember when he stood on that stage and literally took Putin's word over U.S. intelligence agencies? Yeah, that wasn't a one-time thing. His admiration for authoritarian leaders has been consistent, and that alone should make people think twice about how he would handle a Ukraine-Russia deal if given the chance. There's also the issue of sanctions. Many experts believe that Trump's return to power could lead to a rollback of sanctions against Russia, making it easier for Putin to continue his aggressive expansionist policies. If that happens, Ukraine could be left scrambling for support while Russia strengthens its grip on the region. And let's not forget the implications for NATO. If Trump pulls the US away from its commitments, Europe could be left vulnerable in ways we haven't seen in decades. Now, just when you thought this couldn't get crazier, Elon Musk enters the chat. Yep, because apparently, he has more than just Twitter beef going on. Musk has been meeting with Trump, and people are raising some serious eyebrows about what's happening behind closed doors. And here's the thing.
Says equipment to use SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service has arrived in his country. He thanked Tesla CEO and SpaceX founder Elon Musk on Twitter, accompanied by a photo of boxes on the back of a truck. Over the weekend, Musk said Starlink was now active in Ukraine.
Elon has been all over the Ukraine situation, from using Starlink satellites to help Ukrainian forces, to then cutting off access in key battle zones. Like, make up your mind, Elon. And now, with Trump potentially back in power, there's growing concern that Musk could have his hands all over the decision-making process. Because let's be honest, billionaires controlling global politics? That's never gone wrong before, right? What makes this situation even sketchier is Musk's increasing involvement in geopolitical affairs. He's gone from tech billionaire to a guy who seems to think he should have a say in international conflicts. And considering his unpredictable nature, 1 minute supporting Ukraine, the next minute making comments that sound suspiciously pro-Russia, his influence is a serious concern. Let's also talk about the financial aspect. Musk's companies, especially SpaceX, rely on US government contracts. If Trump gets back in office, you better believe Musk is going to be right there, making sure his business interests are protected. And if that means cozying up to certain world leaders, well, we've already seen he's not above that. Another layer to this is the tech angle. Musk's control over satellite communication systems could give him unprecedented influence over global military strategies. If he decides to withhold or grant access to certain services based on political alliances, that could literally shift the course of wars. That's not just speculation. That's a real possibility that world leaders are already worried about. So, why should you care? Because this is bigger than just Trump or Ukraine. It's about what happens next. If Trump does win the next election, what kind of deals is he going to make? And will Ukraine be completely thrown under the bus? And let's not ignore the real victims here, the Ukrainian people. While politicians play their games, people are literally fighting for their survival. And yet, major global players are treating this like some sort of chessboard. At the end of the day, the question isn't just about peace talks. It's about who's really in control, who's pulling the strings, and whether the world is about to see another major geopolitical disaster unfold right before our eyes. If Trump's return means a shift in alliances and policies, the ripple effects could be felt worldwide. We're talking economic shifts, military alliances changing, and possibly even a weakened position for the US in global politics. The stakes are incredibly high, and yet so much is happening behind closed doors. Alright y'all, we just scratched the surface of this whole mess. But one thing is clear, this isn't just about Ukraine, it's about power, control, and a whole lot of shady backroom deals. So, what do you think? Will Ukraine actually have a say in its own future? Or are Trump and Putin already making decisions behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I need to hear what y'all think. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the real tea on what's going down in global politics. Until next time, stay woke.